Yeah. As it is now, I stand downstream and just stare at kids when they lose their footing or they slip under.
Hey, my wife knows
Good times.
I
love it. I love it.
I don't know. I was in her and she's about.
All right, I'll call the March meeting of the Board of Education to order. Welcome all our guests, those listening online. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
Did I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. Do you have anybody for open forum?
No, sir.
Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Could I get a motion to approve the open session minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the open session minutes.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Approval of transfer payment of bills. Anybody have any questions on the transfer and payment of bills? Not, could I get a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the transfer and payment of bills, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Reports, elementary.
Good evening. So I just have a couple of really exciting announcements. One is our PTO just contacted me today and our fundraiser was super successful. So they think we're going to come in with about the $10,000 range for fundraising for our school. So I was really excited to hear about that. So thank you to the community who supported that and our amazing PTO for setting that up. That's super exciting. Staff are continuing to do awesome outings together to just build that culture. Our Sunshine Committee is doing an excellent job of planning those. Under instruction, we are currently, as I mentioned to you guys before, in the process of piloting two possible options to replace evaluate. So that those two options right now are iStation and iReady. I've heard pretty similar feedback from both so far, so we're excited to continue that journey and find the best fit for our students and our staff. That will be coming to an end in May. Teachers in grades 3 through 5 are also working really hard to prepare our students for MAP tests coming up in April, reviewing skills and reteaching concepts. And also I've seen our teachers doing an amazing job of going back and having students step in their answer using text, which is something that comes up often. Tomorrow, Whitley Melton from MURPDC will be coming to work with teachers during plan times on the why behind science of reading and best practices in small group instruction. So we're excited to welcome her and learn from her tomorrow. We have also now completed kindergarten roundup and screenings. We had a great turnout and we've had a really good time welcoming those new Wildcat families and some returning families that already have siblings in our district. Current enrollment is at 276 students for the elementary. That number has changed a little bit since I sent this out. We had 6 new kids come between last week and this week. So that's
Like one family or?
No, we had 3 different new families move in.
Really?
So that's an awesome move in a positive direction. So we're excited to welcome them as well. And then I just included the most recent evaluate data as well. If you look for March, we are all in the yellow and green levels now, and we didn't see any red for March, so we're moving in the right direction. Any questions?
Any questions?
I just
All
have
right.
one, Cammie.
Yeah.
When is MAP testing?
So MAP testing is going to be the last week of April and the first week of March. Or May, sorry.
I knew where you're going.
All right, very good.
All right, thank you.
Great fundraiser, $10,000. That's really good. Athletic director.
All right, good evening. I just wanted to very quickly cap up our winter sports as well as give you an outlook on our spring. I provided a lot of information for both of those. I'll try to keep it brief, but essentially I just wanted to show you what our overall record was for both our men's and women's basketball team. obviously there were some highlights as well. In men's basketball, we had a couple of milestones for a couple of kids. Noah Hall scored 1,000 points, and so we had a pretty fun ceremony for him. We presented him a 1,000-point commemorative ball. He also made second team all conference and the all district team for Class 3 District 9. And then as he graduates here, he also was a 2-time all conference kid and a 2-time all district kid. So that was pretty fun. Gus Peters also received honorable mention. And then just a little statement from Coach Ham about how he thought the season went. And so I provided that for you. Our women's basketball team, again, I gave you their overall record, as well as some highlights on the tournament. Obviously, they played for the district championship and came up short, but that's a great accomplishment for them, especially being as young of a team as they were this year. That was fantastic. That, you know, we had 14 out of 19 were freshmen this year, and so that was huge, and the future looks bright there. Several of our women's basketball players received accolades this season. We had Kiana Hostetler, who got first team all conference. She also made the all district team. Vivian Baker, second team all conference, also made the district team. Paige Senevy received honorable mention from Show Me Conference, and Hannah Hackman also received honorable mention. And so, again, just a short statement from Coach Ross there at the end. But like I said, we're excited to see what they do over the next couple of years. We are in full swing with our spring sports. Our track meet went astonishingly fast and efficient tonight, which was great to see. They were done actually at 6 o'clock, and so and it was very smooth. A couple of things that we're ironing out, but the purpose of those first 2 events is really to get them kind of in the flow of what track meets look like and kind of get them going. But both of them have gone off without hitch, you know, little hiccups, but we're able to problem solve some of those things. Golf, we have 8 golfers on our team this year, 2 that are returning from our Final Four teams. But we are pretty green. We have 2 kids that have had varsity golf experience, but you know, we're just excited that kids are willing to come out and participate. You know, when we were kind of looking at not having a full team this year, and so that was good. They're actually doing their try tonight with Fatima in South Callaway, and talking to Coach Ross, everything was going smoothly. So they're over at Tech right now. Baseball is in full swing too. We hosted our jamboree this year with St. James and Higbee. We won both of those competitions, 16-6 and 4-1. We had a heartbreaking loss against Harrisburg on Friday. Lost to Eldon by 3. It was a fun game to watch. They've been kind of putting it to other teams, and so for us to be that close was a good sign. We beat Eugene, and then last night we beat Calvary Lutheran 12-2. And then right now they're actually at Montgomery County, and so excited to see how they fare there. We have ordered new baseball uniforms for them for next year already, and then I'll talk about this in my facility updates. Obviously, our baseball field is, it is, I'm gonna mess up this phrase, hand over foot, right? Better than it was last year. It is draining extremely well. We had to move the doubleheader just because we were kind of at our maximum rain level, and then it was either move the games because Eldon didn't have school on Friday, and so in order for them to, long story short, we had to move it. But it is, I was out there, and when it was like just torrential downpour, and you just watch the water flow off of it, and so that was fantastic. I just wanted to also say that we're, just working with our coaches on best practices for taking care of that field, really trying to do things like not use diamond drive, but switching to Turfist, which is a field conditioner, to help kind of eliminate that waterlog that's happening over time. Just putting good product on it, thinking about how we can, do things like possibly install some a water system out in the outfield so that we can really have our grass grow. But I wanted to give a couple of shout outs. One, to State Tech for creating those softball foul pole sleeves that we put in. They worked out perfectly. One to our maintenance staff, who did an awesome job, painting our baseball foul poles. They look great. And then Osage County Sheriff's Department for the 6-wheeler, had some tractor troubles, and so that's really helped them be able to drag the field, and so that's been great. Our track will be resurfaced starting May 28th, and so we have signed a contract with McConnell after meeting with 5 different companies and walking through what the cost would be to completely rebuild. It was just out of our budget at the time, or at this time, and so I've learned a lot about what that looks like and what's kind of been done in the past and why we're having some of the issues that we're having. And so we, made the best decision for what we can do right now, which is McConnell's going to come in. They're going to basically rip off the top layer, correct any, as best they can, correct any of the imperfections that we have in the base layer. And then they're going to come in and put a new surface on, repaint. And so we're excited about that. At the same time, we're also Cliff's leading the charge on getting the new fence put in. I'm working on with a couple different companies to look at what LED light replacement would look like. I feel like I'm forgetting something. There's a lot going on. Oh, press box is kind of in the works. We're looking at construction starting on that on April 1st. With materials being picked up, hopefully on the 29th. And so it's gonna be great. And then that's it. That's where we are. Anyone have any questions for me?
Bunch, any questions?
Yeah, sorry. I know I was trying to keep it short.
That's a lot of stuff. You've been really busy. And it's really good to hear all the different people in the community that are helping out.
Yes, yeah, big
It's
time.
huge.
There's a lot of really great businesses and companies and folks in our community that are making a lot of these things possible. So thank you.
Our football booster guys also are doing some drain work on our infield that will advantage our track and help it last a lot longer. We're doing a lift on some of those drains, clearing that out, which will move water away from the track, which will keep our track surface stabilized a lot longer. It's not a permanent 100-year fix by any means, but it is definitely going to give us 2 or 3 years more track life in terms of it just undulating up and down. So we're pretty grateful for that. We appreciate it.
Sorry, thank you. I forgot about that. That'll happen in between the end of track season and before construction starts.
Did we decide to do the colored wear layer or no colored wear layer?
We did not. So in order to do red, and my numbers might be off, but essentially to do red, it was I think $18,000 more, and to do gray was $22,000 more. And so we just wanted to make sure that we, we're efficient with our purchase lease that we have, and and then really take the next couple of years to really plan for being able to do an overhaul.
It will, something that Chris and I will come up with is a long-term budget strategy to actually redo the track. So we had estimates as high as 1.2 million, 1.5 million. And what they're talking about is when we built that track up, the substrate that's below it is what's shifting, right? And so in order to fix all the way down and really create a base layer that would not shift in the future, those estimates that included the base layer, I forget what our lowest was. That
lowest was right at about $800,000.
So 800 to 1.5 million. Obviously, our lease purchase wouldn't be able to cover that amount, and we won't be able to cover that for a while. So what I've got to come up with is a long-term strategy so that by the time we resurface, we can truly fix it so that we're just resurfacing from here onward. And it's going to be a bear for us to tackle, but we'll have about 10 or 12 years to do it, and then we're going to have a fairly large expense again.
That was I love the idea of a red track, but it did feel like you got more life out of it with the wear layer on top of it. Did you, or am I dreaming that?
I asked them that question. I said, "Is that?" And they said, "No, it's a color preference. Obviously, it's nice for branding, but there was no that." So what really helps the life of that, like keeping the rubber pieces on there, is something called. Again, I apologize for it's like a polyurethane spray. And so basically when they put the rubber, so they'll put asphalt, they're gonna strip everything
Yeah.
off, they'll put a layer of asphalt on there. Then they'll put the rubber coating on and then they essentially spray to lock all of that in. And when you spray it, and that's what makes even the resurface much more expensive is locking those pieces in. And so really that's what creates that lifespan versus the color. It's just a dye that they essentially put in order to color it, which obviously would be great and ideal, but just not something that we felt like there were much better places to put part of that purchase lease than a dye. So
Okay. That's disappointing. All right, any questions?
Come out with a can of spray paint.
now it will, I mean,
I
it
just
will get repainted, right, just like it did last year. And so it will be, nice crisp surface as well. But even the paint, right, I mean, you really should repaint it. I think it was like every 5 years, just because that paint fades away. There's a warranty for it for up to 2 or 3 years, but then after that. you're gonna have to-
By design.
Yeah.
You need to repaint every 5. There's a warranty for 2 to 3 years.
So. All right, very good, thank you.
you.
Facility report.
Evening, everyone. Not too much to report, just our staffing, I still need an event custodian, I think that's. Here's to say, we haven't found one of those yet. We're starting to look for some summer help, there's projects lining up and got that word out there. Of course, as far as scheduled maintenance, we've got an elevator inspection due in the field house. And then we're doing the switch over from HVAC, checking all the coils, making sure all the filters are clean, doing preventative maintenance, so we don't have any surprises whenever we take over to the cooling season completely. Unscheduled maintenance, actually, we had none unscheduled maintenance. I didn't have to call anybody this period, so that was good news. Maintenance and shop equipment, the mowers and other equipment are ready for spring. We got them all unwinterized and put back together, and they're going. We've already actually cut once, so it's working good. Contracted services, that elevator inspection will be the biggest one that I have planned. Our facilities and grounds, just preparing everything for our sports and track in the field and getting the baseball field ready and cut and everything ready to go. Future projects, I'm just working on our list for some of the projects and stuff that I'd like to get done. And Mr. James and I are talking about a few things, and hopefully we can have a productive summer and get a lot done. The lead water testing, we replaced all the outlets that did not meet the standard, which was the next step in it. It was only a few that we had to do, and then we started the second round of testing this week. And I'll be sending those off tomorrow, actually, once we get the results. Hopefully we should be, if everything goes right, should be done with that. So. And I think that's about all I got. Unless you anybody have any questions?
Questions? Do we know what's above that elevator in the field house with the funny looking roof?
I do.
Can you ask him that when the elevator
I will.
guy comes and
I will.
maybe we can figure out what's up there and if we really need that
Yeah.
weird looking pitched roof?
I don't think the pitched roof was always on it. I think it was flat at one time. I'm not sure why we put the.
I'm sure, I mean, probably people were kicking balls or something up there, but it just looks odd.
It isn't aesthetically pleasing.
It is not aesthetically pleasing at all.
I agree with that. I'll
All
have
right.
to see. I know they have to get pits, and maybe we can see what's going on.
Yeah, you can. I'm sure he knows exactly what's up there if anything else.
You can crawl up there and
Okay,
plunge router. See what's. Thank you.
all right, thank you. Superintendent report.
Awesome. In the area of culture and climate, and relationships, I did want to shed a light on the building efforts. I think they've done a really good job of keeping, regularly planned events for our folks to get together and just build relationships. I think it makes the difference when you're doing the difficult work, if you know each other really well. So I'm proud of that. We are in the home stretch, so we are focused on morale as a team. We know our teachers are focused on morale. We know that we're really tired. Undoubtedly, we've asked all of our staff to do more and better this year. And I think we're definitely seeing that fatigue. We're aware of it and we'll be focusing some of our efforts there. As we go through the spring, we're already talking about planning for next year, including professional development for this summer. And we talked a little bit today about our campus and district improvement plans, developing our focus for next year, and culture is on that. Personnel and staffing, we'll go through some contract recommendations tonight, next month, and the month after, so look for that. We have a few new hires already. We've jumped on that early, beginning our hiring process to get people locked down so we can make sure and have a great staff for next year. Staffing is an issue across the state. I'm currently attending, I'll be headed back there this evening, the MASA Spring Conference, and that is a very common topic of conversation. We did attend a couple of job fairs, one at Northwest Missouri State, and then another at Lincoln. That's our first foray into those areas. We actually enjoyed that, learned a lot. But I would say, as much as we learned about who we are and what we have to offer, it is very eye-opening to walk around those fairs and look at what other districts are offering. Most of that is focused on salaries and benefits, building and facilities, you name it. So that's definitely a focus for us. Base salary, where staffing is regarding, is a conversation going on across the state. Of course, we have some legislation going through now that includes the $40,000 starting salary. We have some of our neighbors, Eugene and Blair Oaks. I always want to say South Callaway, but is it Southern Boone or Southern Boone? It's running running operating tax levy increases just to focus on beginning salaries. Professional development, we're still having an emphasis on front loading that, meaning before our students step on campus day one next year, what will we have taught our teachers, what learning opportunities will they have, and how can they apply them straight away. So we will be having our exchange days starting July 16th and 17th. Am I right on that? I kept saying June earlier today. So we'll have staff come in for two different opportunities, one really focused on the curriculum and the other one being an ed camp style professional development, which essentially means this. Our administrators have done a really great job of coming up with a buffet of learning opportunities that are in line with our district and campus improvement plans, and individual staff will come in and sign up for those as needed based on where they're at, where their strengths and weaknesses are, and their interests. So I'm pretty excited about that. We are focusing on trying to balance our internal and external PD. We don't have a habit, and I don't know if it was encouraged or not previously, of going out to external professional development. And honestly, it's a challenge for us considering covering classes. But we are trying to get our teachers out there so they can see what other folks are doing. Facilities, I'll defer to Cliff and Mr. Minix on those with athletics and fine arts. Budget and finance, you guys will have heard me say this a million times. Already started planning. Big emphasis, it's my number one, is salaries and benefits. Of course, instruction and facilities. A lot of legislative changes out there to our school finance. That includes the state adequacy target, property taxes, minimum salaries at 40,000. Regardless of whether any one of those goes through, we're already establishing a watermark, and it's something that we have to plan for. So I'm taking a look at the first salvo and phase of that planning in next year's budget. Just made several large funding requests, state and federal, that put us slightly ahead of where we were last year. Also want to highlight a little bit, our campus administrators have really tried to do a much better job, not that they ever did a bad job, but of intentional planning and the exercise of their budgets. So this year they had a budget cutoff of March 1st for all discretionary spending, like student activities. They still spend activity money, and you still have to spend some money on track and baseball and some other things. But where planning was concerned, where great planning reinforced great spending, we encouraged that this year. They did a good job holding that March 1st deadline. Then they took a couple of weeks from March 1st to 15th to do what we call sweep planning, which just is a fancy way of saying what money did they have left and what opportunities were they unable to take advantage of earlier in the year to make some of those larger purchases that just made themselves obvious throughout the year, and they've done that. You want to talk a little bit about what you guys have done? Sorry to put you on the spot. I know you've bought some Chromebooks, something as simple as, staff morale and culture. It helps a lot. You have an extra ice machine in the workroom so that staff can have just ice and some of the creature comforts during the day. But they've made a couple of purchases that I think our staff will be pretty happy with. But we're definitely in the middle of planning for next year.
All
Do
right.
you have any questions?
Is the grant for the $38,000 minimum salary still, has that gone through?
It hasn't made it through finance. They have to actually vote to fully fund that or not, but I believe that it will. Yeah, I believe so. We'll still have a minimum of 38. There's a couple legislative pieces that have that at 40. So we'll come out somewhere between 38 and 40.
Right.
And we'll come out somewhere between partially split, like a 70-30 split, and wholly subsidized by the state. I doubt we'll know that for 6 weeks. I don't think anything radical is going to happen this election, quite honestly, but I'm already thinking about the push to 40. And then this is an often overlooked aspect. Decompressing your salary schedule is a major deal. We can move a bunch of people. It takes 9 years here to get over 40. But our 10th year teacher making 40,300 and our 0-year teacher making 40,000. To me, I get what we're intending with that, but I can't have that for very long. And so I'm trying to come up with a strategy for us to decompress as we do that.
Yeah, that's a good segue into the 24-25 preliminary budget.
Actually, a lot of that information I just gave you. A few items that I want you guys to be aware of. ESSER 3 ends this year. For instance, we've relied on ESSER 3 for about $300,000 to $350,000 per year to cover salaries and benefits. That'll go away. ADA is down when compared to last year and could impact our budget. We have a couple of options there to lean on
Average daily attendance.
average daily attendance. So we do have a couple of options there to lean on our year prior or 2 years prior. We may be doing that while it rebounds, if that makes sense at all. We have done some auditing of why our ADA has went down. Dr. Strong and I spoke a little bit earlier today. When we did an audit of students that were here in 22-23 versus students that were here in 23-24, this was a startling data point for me. Of the 110 or so 6th through 8th graders that were here last year, 24 of them have moved since from last year to this year. That's about 20%. That's 20% mobility in our middle school. And so that's alarming to me. When we looked at that and really tried to figure out, is there a trend in there? Have we just maybe we're not doing our first step is I wonder if we're doing a good job in middle school. What we found is the two primary reason, and the trend is a change in life circumstances or a change in job, which I guess both are a change in life circumstances. Nothing catastrophic with families necessarily, just typical movement. And now we're seeing an influx of 6 here in 1 week. So we're taking a look at who's coming to us also, but it's more movement, more mobility that I anticipated being here. So I'm trying to figure that out, see if we can anticipate the pattern. We do have some money that we didn't intend to have. I only estimated 2% increase in AV for our budget last year. We maxed out at a cap of 5. Another kind of moving target for us is our SAT, the state adequacy target. The amount of money that the state has determined it takes to educate a child well in Missouri is moving from 6,375 to 6,760 on its way the following year to 7,145. It does imply that we are going to receive some more money, and we will. But when you compare that to the loss of ESSER 3 and some other things, it's not the windfall that I would have loved to have had. Increased salaries are where we probably need to be the most competitive in terms of spending our money. recruiting and retaining the highest quality people that we have. And that means as long as we're still providing a great education to our kids, I think our bond is really focused on improving our facilities, which means our budget needs to be focused on salaries, benefits, and instructional support. And so that's where I'll be focused on.
Questions? All right, super early, so a ton of moving parts there.
A lot of it.
Other discussion items, the Lynn and middle school Lynn Invitational on 4/18.
So our minimum number of hours to cover inclement weather is 1,104. We actually have 1,107.3 on our calendar. If we were going to consider an early out to mitigate the congestion from one of our invitationals, we could let out on April 18th at 12:45, still get our 1,104 hours for our complete year. And so I was interested in seeing if we would consider a 12:45 student release on that day. We have some things that we could do, but I would hope that students could attend the track meet, and then staff here. We'll have a couple things to do, but it'd be really great if we went over and cheered on our middle school students and had that event.
What day of the week is that?
Thursday. Yeah,
So this is a middle school meet.
some middle school.
Is there a big high school meet one day as well?
There is.
Earlier,
It's next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
The reason why we're not going for that one is because we're having a board meeting about next week. I would want to give our families more lead time on that, or I'd probably be doing one for high school. I just don't want to give families a week or two lead time.
We also have parent teacher conferences next week during that track meet, so we'll already be out at 12:45.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Okay.
Any thoughts? I mean, my only concern, I guess. Do what you think you need to do. It's just a matter of the inconvenience to parents with kids.
Right.
Thoughts there?
At a month out, I'm hoping this will be enough time for them to adjust.
Okay. Staff attendant substitutes.
This is something I also wanted to make sure, and just have a brief conversation. We, at times, we have enough people out. Right now, we have 4 or 5 long-term substitutes. We have about 8 or 9 that regularly substitute for us. At just our staffing numbers, we actually will average 3.92 absences per day if all of our teachers use their leave. Well, now we have 5 long-term substitutes. We only have 9 total, so if we have an average of 4 every day, and we are running into this at times, we don't have enough substitutes. I know we're combining classes a lot at elementary. I've got principals covering classes, librarians covering classes. There will be times that we deny not discretionary leave just because we don't have enough people to cover kids in the building. I hate the idea that we're giving staff an allotment of vacation days and sick times that we're limiting. But it's becoming a safety concern at times where I've got our administrators and staff locked down with groups of kids and they can't respond at the point that it's a safety concern. And we'll be very sensitive to that. We are asking staff, is this, do you want to be off or do you need to be off? Because we're very low on staffing on particular days. It's not going to make everybody happy. I'd rather meet it head on and talk about it in open session than have it be a secret. We're just struggling to cover.
So I've got a couple of, curiosities. One, one of the, when went to 4 days, we were told we'd see less absenteeism.
We had this
Do we know?
conversation.
Yeah, do we know if that's in fact the case, or could we find that out?
We could, in my opinion, this is anecdotal. I don't think it's made a difference on our staff absences. We still are taking as many leave days as we have.
Well, that's my second question, and we haven't talked about this. When we went to 4 day, did we decrease the number of leave days?
We did
Or
not.
did we leave it the same, which seems like you would have reduced the number of leave days?
Did we go from 12 to 10?
Oh.
12 to 10, yeah.
It was based on a calculation of hours, to my understanding. It did decrease, I don't know, based on what merit.
Okay,
And we do have some folks that are experiencing an unfortunate life circumstance. I think we have maybe 6 or 8 people that have been out 15 to 30 days, somewhere in that neighborhood. We're doing our best to work with them and support them when we can, but we're not the exception in terms of substitutes. Nearly everybody I talk to is struggling with that same coverage. We're gonna have to make a tough decision when it covers us for safety and deny some of those when it's not absolutely necessary. Not the best for morale, and it's not the best in building relationships with your staff. Again, I just want to be out front, up and honest, and let everybody know why we're even considering that.
I think I would have understood, and I taught school 30 years. And I don't ever remember taking a discretionary day at it. Not sure I understand what a discretionary day is. Me, I just want to be off.
Just want to be on.
Okay,
is that,
I mean,
is that real? I mean, is that
Saturday,
real?
Sunday, Monday are off.
I
I'm probably not gonna be real popular on staff for this here, but I mean, like, that's the way I'm kind of seeing that. I mean, okay,
There are
Um,
times where doctor's only available, Tuesday through Friday. But I will say on a 4-day week, we're not in a better position when I speak to other superintendents than those on a 5-day school week. They find themselves in the exact same position that we're in.
I always hated to try to, do the lesson plans to be gone. I hated the idea of doing that more. I had to be really sick. And
So, I mean, now I'm gonna get into philosophically, I mean, generationally, I mean, everything you read with Gen Z, whatnot. Pick your generation, they value their time off, so on, they think it's owed to them, so if they get 10 days off, they're gonna take their 10 days off. Do we have some of that going on?
We absolutely do. That exists
Yeah,
on nearly every campus I've ever been on, all the way up into the staff member, the teacher that looks dead. And somehow they just didn't want to write, they didn't want to catch up, they didn't want to write substitute plans, so they're there anyway. I think, like, again, district schools are struggling with this across the board for whatever reason. It seems to be more severe, but it also has to do with us. And so I'm gonna, from a bias perspective, it's gonna seem more intense to me. I'm not as worried about absences in Jeff City or California as I am here.
Any thoughts? I'm guessing looking up and down the table that most of us never burn through all our vacation every year. Or come even more close to it.
We suffer with the same thing, work as well. People taking off a lot, so
Because they get it, not because they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not here to judge our staff, or I don't have any specific information about anybody's absence, you know what I mean? We're having a conversation, obviously, because we have an issue with staff attendance, probably, or we wouldn't be having a conversation right now. Is that fair?
It's fair.
Okay, like, well, I don't know, I would like to believe that the majority of our folks have enough respect for the profession that you make sacrifice to be there. It's that important. I would like to think.
Our staff.
It was to me.
From the time I put this on the agenda till now, we have had staff come to us and say, hey, I didn't know, I'm gonna move that till after school, or I'm gonna move it till Friday, so.
There's no, I mean, like, again, I don't have any specific information about anybody's specific absence anywhere about anything at all, so I'm certainly not judging any of that, but just generally speaking, I would like to believe that our folks are again, respectful enough of the fact that, this is that important, whatever, the idea of a discretionary absence, just I'm not
and
I'm
my,
not feeling that. Just
my,
put that
my
way.
guess is if we never push back on it, folks are gonna take it. I think if people know the expectation is, if you can be here, you really need to be here.
Not every place has 10 days and you don't have to justify why, right? Is that fair too?
Sure.
We have 10 days, you do not have to justify why. Like you don't, it's not like you have sick days plus personal days plus, bereavement or whatever, right?
We have
Is that
whatever,
fair? Like,
whatever they tell us is the reason. I need off
Okay.
or I'm
So
sick.
is
or
ours
I've got-
PTO and everything's lumped into one, or,
yeah, it's like
or do we
PTO.
separate
It
it?
is.
It's like PTO.
Okay, we don't separate sick and,
Probably because we don't want to police it.
You wanna hear a whole story about all that? Whether you wanna hear it or not. We fought a long time back and forth with leave days. Yeah, when we had a LCTA.
Yeah.
And we talked about it, yeah, where we had 9 sick leave days. I think 3 professional days. And if any, unused professional days converted to sick leave. And you were able to accumulate
sick leave.
90 days worth of sick leave and then
Uh-huh.
you were paid. For those unused sick leave days. Now, is that still in practice today?
You can get paid for your sick leave eventually. There are some metrics that you have to meet. You
It
have
doesn't
to-
roll into retirement or anything, it,
No,
okay.
no, we pay them as they go. We've looked at, Fulton is running, an incentive program right now. I don't have it in front of me to look at, but essentially you have certified and you have classified staff. If a certified staff member, they get 10 days. No matter whether you've used old leave, new leave, it doesn't matter. They say if you used 5 days up until December break, you get $0. If you use 4, we'll pay you $100 for the day you didn't use.
Yeah.
They do not buy the leave. The staff member retains the leave. They're just paid not to use it, if that makes
Got it.
sense. I have no idea if we'll have the money to incentivize that or whether we need to raise our substitute pay again. But we're looking at options. For the immediate future, we're looking at times when we can't safely ensure that students are supervised in reasonable ways. We're just having to say no. Not very popular, and that often gets to you guys. And I wanted you to understand the position we were in.
I assume too, frequent flyers, as I call them, are probably being talked to directly. Because I hate that certain staff are refusing to take care of their health because they know how much of a struggle it is because other people are using it. So I assume that's occurring.
I've had that conversation and I'm fairly certain both of them have had that conversation with some of their staff members who've said, look, I'm in a really tough spot here. Everything we do, we should be doing with our very best staff members in mind. And it's the same reason we're having this discussion.
All right, any other comments?
I have another question too. Do you ever, before, a long time ago, you could not discretionary take days right before a vacation. Yeah, you couldn't extend your time, beyond, Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever the case may be. Of course, those were a long time ago, but still.
All those blackout days, and we've been dealing with that this year.
Probably
for
go
that
weeks of
specific
Thanksgiving right
reason.
now.
Yeah,
Don't we go a week for Thanksgiving?
sorry.
Do we go a week for Thanksgiving, the whole week now?
No.
Or do we go Monday, Tuesday?
we'll
That's
go-
why some schools are taking off the whole week for Thanksgiving, because of what he just said,
Right.
like, that's why they are. That's why Jeff said he had to do that, because, right, that thing. That's why I read into it. Because I couldn't couldn't get enough people there Monday, Tuesday.
All right, well, whatever you have to do, I think that it sounds to me like the board supports what you gotta do to keep our kids safe and learning. All right, what do we got? Senate Bill 727.
I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about Senate Bill 727, but it's one of a few different bills that have essentially the same or similar components. It passed in the Senate, a week ago last Tuesday, headed to the House. Quite a few changes in there that are indicative of some of the other legislation. Also, enrollment and attendance funding, there's some changes there, small schools grant, although that really doesn't affect us. Some local effort, merchant manufacturers tax changes, not a huge change for us there. An increase in total early childhood percentage from 4 to 8%. That does require a public vote, or I'm sorry, that doesn't. But moving to a 4-day school week would, under certain circumstances, school districts that serve over 30,000. Bonuses added for school districts who are on 5-day weeks from 1 to 2% of their state aid or state allotment. That also has to be earmarked for teacher salaries. Can't go anywhere but that. It also establishes a $40,000 starting salary, 46 for graduate plus 10. Also adds some teacher scholarships to deal with our teacher shortage, and also increases the amount retirees can come and earn after retirement and still retain their benefit. Some changes to career ladder. Also a lot about vouchers and open enrollment and charter school expansion. I gave you guys a link to that bill in the report summary. There's a lot to it, a lot of moving pieces. I apologize now, being in the meeting. I understand that I've hit this like 5 or 6 different times. It's on my mind. It's on every superintendent's mind across the state. I wanted you guys just to be aware. A lot of moving targets.
So did it actually clear the Senate?
It did.
So something's going to happen. I mean, the House is, the Senate is
It's the
dysfunctional as the Senate is. If it got through the Senate, then something's going to happen.
It did make it through Senate. 1910,
Unless the House and Senate strongly disagree on it and it goes to conference and gets stuck there, that does happen sometimes.
They filibustered it. It was filibustered. And then the senators decided to stand down from it because it added some of the benefits. That made, I don't know what's happening there.
And they can filibuster when it comes back. All right, action items. 24-25 certified staff salary schedule and step increase.
So I would love, for all the reasons that I've pointed out, my number one concern for next year's budget is base salary and salary increases. Having said that, my total landscape could change in the next 6 weeks. And so at this time, I am recommending what I feel is the very minimum, which is step. I realize that some people haven't done step in a while, but we're going to commit to at least that. But we're going to keep our salary schedules, both certified and classified, as they are right now. As we finalize budget, I would love to take a look at that again and re-vote on hopefully a new salary schedule for both of those groups of folks.
Isn't that what we did last year?
We did.
Okay, so I get a motion to approve the 24-25 certified staff salary schedule and step increases.
I move we approve the certified staff salary schedule and step increases.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. Approve the 24-25 classified staff salary schedule and steps that changes. Is that the same thing?
Same thing.
Can I get a motion to approve the classified staff salary schedule step increase?
I'll make a motion to approve the certified staff salary schedule and step increases.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. Summer school 8.3.
We just have to submit an application by June 1. This is just a formal process where we have to vote to have summer school, so we can submit that application.
Can I get a motion to approve the summer school submission?
I move we approve the summer school submission.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Date change for the April board meeting.
We have to have a board meeting within 14 days of the election. And so election is April 2nd. That goes out to April 16th, which is the Tuesday before our regular date, which was April 18th. So we have to move that to either the 16th or a day before, or someday between the 3rd and the 16th. The Thursday prior is the 11th. The Tuesday of that same week is the 16th.
To be honest, that entire week looks terrible for me. I'm out of town. April 11th, we're grand opening of the Osage View drone show band, so we'll all be there, I'm sure, on April 11th.
Do you have a meeting room over there that we could?
We could do that. We could absolutely do that.
16 is not. That's 16.
Because I'll be out of town, but you don't need me here for this. We just, so we have a quorum, so everybody else here on the 16th. Okay, can I get a motion to move the April meeting to the 16th?
I'll make a motion to have the school board meeting to April 16th.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any further comment? Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
And
All right, next regular meeting will be April 16th. With that, we are adjourned to closed session.
I move we adjourn to closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021 subsections 13 relative to personally identifiable employment information, 3 personnel actions, 6 personally identifiable student information, 1 legal actions involving a public body and or privilege of communications, among that body as representatives attorneys.
Got a
I'll
motion,
second.
second, all right. Roll call vote, Mark?
Can I ask a question first?
No.
Are we gonna need to plan a time to have a budget work session?
Yeah, I thought that was on there.
I thought it was in there somewhere, and I feel like we missed it.
We don't necessarily have to do that now,
Okay.
per se, but I think sometime probably last week of April, first week of May is a good time to do that because we approve it officially in June.
So we can do it then in the April meeting.
Because
You really won't have a good feel for the state budget until what, second week of May?
no problem.
it'll at least give us an opportunity though, to sit down and talk about our priorities list. By that point, we'll have some idea of some amount of money. If we can use that as a template to determine what your priorities are as a board in terms of funding, it would still be helpful. But mid-May is fine also.
Okay. Roll call vote, Mark?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Naomi?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Jamie? I'm a yes. We're adjourned to closed session.